Okay, it's recording. So just like process, I'm going to be going over the callouts first, and then the rollouts for each class, and then after rollouts, we're going to be talking about uh, defending and pushing from different areas of the map, starting from our last, making our way to their last. So starting with callouts, we have obviously our spawn. Everyone will spawn in the center here. It changed from the normal process you're used to in casual, where you spawn on either side of those shutters. This is a special version where everyone spawns in the back. On the right side, we have truck or pickup, whatever your team wants to call it. You got the point and above point. I like to call this tower. Some people call it shed. Some people call it things that I don't know about. Boxes on the right side, which you'll probably never call out. You have concrete on the right side, which you'll never call out. Most people just group it together with top right. This is a wall, and medics sometimes stand behind the wall. I believe some people might call this like platform, wood, or balcony or something. I just group it together with top right or, behind tower. This is going to be the main boxes you talk about when you say boxes or crates on last, which is going to be on the left side. We have a gravel pit slash bucket right here. This is used to be one of the best sentry positions on the map, but since then there have been other sentry spots that are better. So I usually like place it here just to build it up, and then I go back to spawn, come out and build it up, and then move it. On the very left we have crate or drop down. This area right here, this section on the left, is called drop down because on an earlier version of the map there was like a whole hallway here that would drop down onto second. Shutter on last, and lower, or lower lobby. So coming out of last into lower lobby, there is tires right behind here. This is a common hiding spot that you'll have to look at as you're pushing out. We have ramp, or just lobby if you want to group it together with that. Again, drop down right there. This corridor, this hallway right here is just an extension of drop down. It's another common hiding spot you have to look at. What are you saying? Okay.
What is that?
And then all of this wooden area is just lobby. Let's start on the right side. On the very right here is bucket. This is a very common trap spot for demo men. Your team should never be surprised by a bucket trap. Just like shoot a rocket or sticky here to splash any potential stickies away. This should be essentially one of the first things you check as you're pushing into lobby. On the right side of lobby, we have cheese or Z. The reason it's called cheese is because on a better graphics config, there is a mouse hole right here. And originally it's called Z because it's shaped like a Z. Center, we have bridge. Pretty obvious, it's a bridge. And then on the very left is bats coming out onto second. All of this is bats. I think this might have another callout that I'm not sure about. I just extend it to be bats.
A lot of people call it fence, from what I've heard.
Mm. Below, underneath here, this is Africa, or you can just say below, below the point, whatever you want to say. This center train thing, logs, I call it train, other people call it logs, other people call it other stuff. On the very right side, again we have cheese, there's a pipe above cheese, and then a platform that leads into saw. Mostly, I've heard it just called right side or saw. This area is just an extension of saw if you want to say it like that. In the center, we have yard, this grassy area. All of it is yard. You have another shed in front of yard right next to the point. You have your forward spawn. And window, which comes out of saw. And then moving forward, right in front of yard, all of this wooden area, everything here is just called lower. That's it. So don't confuse it with lower lobby. If you hear your team say lower, this is what they're talking about. And then you hear me say saw a lot. This area, this house, is called saw, all of it, because there is a single saw blade right here. And by the way, where I just shot that sticky is another common trap hiding spot, so watch out for that. And then coming into mid, I guess I'll start on the right side. Not sure what that's called, but on the top right, I just call it, you know, roof on the right side. Another shed on middle. We have box or crate. I don't think that area has a call out. It's just all of this is middle. And then above is a catwalk. And then the directions work wonders here. Top left, top right, above point. Alright. Oh, I forgot about kitchen. So on either side of the point, to the left and right, is kitchen. The left side is your kitchen, and the right side is their kitchen. The reason this area is called kitchen, because on an earlier version of the map, there's like a whole kitchen set here that you could interact with. Alright, any questions on the callouts?
You don't call that stairs?
I don't call out a lot of things. I just simplify things and group everything together. Alright. Then I will start with the rollouts. So like I mentioned, everyone spawns all the way back here in the center on what is this? What version of the map is this? Is this just final one? I guess so. Oh, I guess Valve changed it. I don't know. So everyone spawns back here. For example, I spawned right here in the center, and everyone wants to aim to go out the right side shutter. So Demo Man, you should be getting a 260 buff from your medic, and then you jump a little bit. You want to try to stay within beam range of your medic, but it's not that important. If you are within beam range, then your medic should heal you back up to 260. And your goal right here from this right shutter is to hit a ramp slide on those staircase, on the wooden stairs right there. So you want to try to go horizontal. Doesn't really matter if you hit it or not, as long as you get into lobby successfully. If you're just before the staircase, then I would consider that as a failed jump. Inside of lobby, there's two different rollouts you can do. One of them is, oops, missed that one. One of them is to hit another ramp slide on those wooden stairs, and the less common one is to hit a kind of, slide right here on this wooden panel. So if you hit it correctly, then you won't take any fall damage, and this would be the lower rollout versus the saw rollout. So my tip here, by the way, if you jump too early, you're going to hit your head on the ceiling of this doorway, which messes up your rollout. So my tip here is jump outside of the doorway and try to aim your sticky like 70 to 80% up the wall, and that way you can go at enough horizontal speed to hit that ramp slide. Like that. Then once you're in saw, you're going to start charging your sticky, grab the health pack if you need it, shoot across. So Demo Man's job on this mid fight is a lot of things in my opinion, but realistically, any damage you do is just gonna significantly help your team win the mid fight. If you're not hitting any damage as Demo Man, then you might want to consider calling to leave early. Because doing no damage means they're all full health and then they can just walk across the point at you. So, first couple of stickies, like 1 or 2, could be sent at their Demo Man wherever he is, and if you successfully hit him with each, then you might consider throwing more at him, try to kill him. Otherwise, what I've seen other demos do is like throw one at the shed to hit their scout, throw one top right to hit their flank, and then just focus the rest of your damage across the point at the enemy team to try to damage them down, right? Try to deal damage onto them. If your team needs help on the top, then you can send a few more stickies up there, but for the most part, your job as Demo Man is to sink damage into the enemy combo and prevent them from walking across the point. So, for soldiers, Roamer, you wait and spawn, you're crouching. Once you're able to move, your medic should heal you to 300. And then you're trying to do a right, so you do a right wall jump here, then do another right wall jump into a ramp slide. It's okay again if you don't hit the ramp slide as long as you get into lobby. You might see other soldiers go fast through cheese to do some sort of fast rollout. In my opinion, it's a lot better if you as roamer walk through cheese. And that way your medic can give you a little bit more heal beam back up to like 260, 270. And then you can jump to middle with some overheal coming into middle. Oh, I'm on the wrong loadout. So roamer will usually end up on the top left of mid. What I've seen a lot of soldiers do is shoot across like that or splash across. This isn't doing anything. You're just wasting your ammo. You should be coordinating with your soldier, maybe like shooting down. Oh, I missed. Maybe like shooting down onto people trying to cross the point, walk up on the platform, shoot down on their combo. But coordinating with your other soldier, your pocket soldier, into some sort of double bomb or reactive double bomb for when they go in. Otherwise, yeah, like I mentioned, this isn't doing anything, honestly. It's going to be a lot better if you coordinate a double bomb maybe onto their flank. So this is the normal rollout for roamer. If your team decides to go catwalk, which I'll talk about in a little bit, then your roamer and flank scout would instead roll out to the right side where your combo would have been. Alright, so pocket soldier, same thing every map. Trying to hit yourself out the doorway. My tip again for pocket soldier, just like on process, is don't worry about distance. Distance is just going to fuck you over on your rollout. The golden number here is get below 80 health. So you see I'm just essentially going straight down with my rockets, and that's how I get below 80 health every time. If you get out the door, then that's a plus. So the reason why the golden number is below 80 is because that is the maximum speed boost you get from your escape plan. You run through cheese, run to saw, and then around this point you take off your escape plan, continue in a straight line, wait for that arrow. Normally, the combo is going to roll out right side, and pocket soldier you have a few different starting positions, one of which is like right here, you just shoot across at them. Another one is on the top right roof, just shoot across at them. And if you're feeling ballsy, you can even take top right if you want to. Otherwise, all you're doing is trying to preserve your health and wait for that double bomb or reactive double bomb across the point. You will most likely never attempt to deal with their double bomb. In my opinion, it's a lot better if both of your soldiers just immediately get a cross point onto their combo, if they go in first. So scouts and medic, both scouts should be crouching so your medic can heal people. Once you're able to move, you just walk out right side, walk into lobby, go through cheese, go through saw. And it's right around here you want to again avoid your pocket soldier so that your medic can heal him. And again in saw your two scouts are diverging. Flank scout would go left side with the roamer normally, and pocket scout would go right side with the rest of the combo. Common starting spot is on top of the shed, that's why Demoman might consider placing a couple stickies up here to knock this scout off or deter him from coming up here. And then you can help out whoever needs help if you want to. Scouts are mostly going to be playing back with your medic, both of them in my opinion, so that you are both able to shoot bombing soldiers out of the sky. And if your soldiers are going in first, then it's okay if your flank scout instead like just goes across the top of the point and shoots down onto people. But pocket scout should definitely always be playing back with the medic, just to intercept those other soldiers from bombing you. Let me place the ragdolls down. So like Demoman around this area, scout, medic, soldier somewhere here, and then soldier flank scout over there. This is generally where you might position yourself early on the mid fight and then go from there. This is the standard hold, right? The standard mid fight. If your team is getting double bombed a lot and you guys are unable to deal with it, like your medic's dying every time, you're losing all these mid fights, then you might consider instead rolling out catwalk to counter their double bomb. And so this is where instead of your flank going catwalk, now your pocket soldier and pocket scout and medic go catwalk instead. So it's the same kind of positionings. You have your pocket soldier, pocket scout. Oh, I deleted them. Pocket soldier, pocket scout, medic on catwalk, and then your flank is over there instead. Your demo man needs to understand this and play closer to catwalk so that if he's ever hurt, then your medic can just like come over here, heal him up. Otherwise, if your demo man's playing too far to the right, then he's isolating himself from the heal beam. Personally, I don't know why this is a better position for medic to counter double bombs. What I assume is your medic can just back up into Saw, and the enemy soldiers are like, where the fuck is your medic? And then your team just cleans them up. Alright. If they don't double bomb, then your medic can just jump off of catwalk. But assuming you don't know if they're going to double bomb or not, then your medic should remain on catwalk until you confirm that yes, they are going for double bomb, or no, they are not. So if they are, and they just did, then your medic can jump off after the soldiers are dealt with, or if they're not, then your medic can jump off, right? Otherwise, he remains up here. Common mistake I see is medics jump off too early, and then the enemy team goes in for the double bomb, and it's the same thing all over again. Alright. I guess any questions about the rollout?
No.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Okay. Then I'm gonna talk about alternative roamer rollouts. When you reach this area, right before cheese, instead of walking through cheese, if you decide to go fast, and you need to be consistent at this, if you decide to go fast, then there's this, oh, I kind of messed up. There's this ramp slide you can do to get into their kitchen before their demo man even gets into middle. So kind of like that. If you're a little bit slow, then the demo man will see you, just the tail end, and maybe they'll send someone to deal with you, but if you're extremely fast, then you can get in here without anyone seeing you, and now you're behind the enemy team. Going catwalk, there is a pogo across the point here, across the top of the point, which I am terrible at. I am like a tier 2 jumper out of 6. And you can get all the way into their catwalk, just from the rollout. And then there's the kitchen rollout. So where your demo man might go lower, you would also go lower to follow him, and you're trying to hit the same kind of slide right there to avoid fall damage. And then you just set yourself up here in kitchen. If you hit a jump correctly here, like a right wall jump and then a pogo somewhere in this doorway, you're able to get extreme speed and jump over this shed and essentially land either behind the medic, or you can land into their saw, which is much more preferred. Let me see if I can do it. Kinda like that. You can grab this health pack and now you're behind them. So those are 3 different rollouts you can do as roamer if you want to, otherwise it's fine if you just do the standard one on top left. For the mid fight, I prefer my team is aggressive first. I find that in newcomer and amateur, the team that is aggressive first usually wins. That's not to say every time. Sometimes you just miss and then you lose the mid fight. But for the most part, you should be able to win. You have a bunch of high walls. This one is good on, I think they changed it so it's the same on both sides. Yeah. In a previous version, blue side had the worst high bomb because you couldn't do a high bomb on this wall. If you walk a little bit more forward, you can do another high bomb right here. And then there's high walls behind you. You can also just walk up to the point and start on the ground if you want to go high. Messed it up. Again, I'm not good at rocket jumping. Same with the soldier, your pocket soldier on the other side. If you're standing on the right side roof, you can just high jump off of the right side. I went too high, but if you hit it just right, you can go pretty high. High bombs are going to be a lot better than just doing single rocket jumps on this map. because the lower you are, the easier it is for the enemy scouts to hit you. The higher you are, the more likely that you'll be able to actually get damage in. And again, just like on process, both soldiers should not land in the same spot. If you land on the same spot, onto the enemy medic, then you're going to be eating the same damage. Oh, come on. There we go. So like, their soldiers or something, their demo man just looks back, hits like one pipe onto you, you're both eating that same splash damage. So ideally you'd have one soldier land on high ground, shoot down, one soldier land on the medic if you want to. And then there's also low bombs you can do across point, which are a bit more risky because you're on the low ground as you do it, so they can intercept you and body block you more easily. Alright. So, let's see, the timer is now 4 minutes, right? They changed it from 5 to 4. So you should be getting to mid, or rather you should be planning your high bomb at like the 36 or 35 second mark. 37's a bit on the faster side, so 36, 35 is more average. Then once that time comes, your soldiers go in. Your team, which includes only your, let's see, yes, that's the right color, which includes only your flank scout and demo man, should be trying to get a cross point to help your soldiers who are bombing in onto the enemy medic, or enemy demo, or whoever you're targeting. Usually it's going to be the medic. So, yeah, so your demo man's walking across point, trying to hit stickies into people. Your scout's walking across the top, maybe trying to like shoot people in the back as they're jumping across. And your pocket scout and medic are playing a little bit more safe, but still should commit somewhat, right? Because if things are going well, then you guys can just all walk across the point. If things are going poorly, then you should be in a position where you can back up into saw if you need to. So that's what I mean by like half committing. Alright. Yes. So that's the double soldier bomb, just bomb in. Sometimes it's better if you go behind them into saw, just go behind, you have this health pack here, and then they're distracted on your other soldier, you come back in, you're on the medic. While, so let me pretend I'm on blue team now, is what I'm trying to say. So I'm on blue team, and the red soldiers are bombing my combo. How I want to react to that is, both of your soldiers should just immediately try to get onto their combo. You are planning for the worst case scenario where your medic dies, and so one thing to do is get their medic as fast as possible. The other thing you're doing by having both soldiers bomb across point is you're splitting the enemy team's attention, right? You're forcing the enemy team to not just look forward. They now have to look at the soldiers in the sky rather than shooting the people they want to shoot. So your soldiers are alleviating pressure off of your scouts in combo and putting more pressure onto their combo. Both of your scouts should be intercepting those soldier bombs. Your demo man, his job is to prevent the enemy demo man / combo from walking across the point. Your blue demo man, in this case, should not be dealing with those soldiers. That's not his job. People bombing over your head is not your job as demo man. Your job is to prevent people from walking across the point. However, you have to realize that your medic and both of your scouts are distracted by these soldiers. So you are one person without any heal beam, preventing their combo from walking across. So just play around that. I understand it's like, it's easy to say, but hard to do in practice. Just deal with it. Yes, okay, so that's gonna be the mids. And then hit your shots, you win. Miss your shots, you lose. Any questions about that?
Bombs.
No.
If I like get bombed, like what, like where do I like jump to? Where do I like leave as a medic?
As a medic?
Yes.
It's gonna mostly depend on how your team wants to play it. Coming into Saw could be okay, because you're immediately breaking line of sight, with the enemy soldiers. However, that also means you're breaking line of sight with your team. So now your team no longer has the heal beam with them, right? Even though
Right.
you're safe, your team is not safe, right? And then the other one is going through lower to grab this health pack. This can be okay, except now you're on the low ground. Again, you're breaking line of sight with their soldiers, but you can easily like arrow cross point from a
Arrow
safe
people.
distance. But like I mentioned, you're on low ground. It's going to be harder to commit back in unless your scouts get things in order and kill both of their soldiers pretty quickly.
I see.
So there is no correct answer. It's just surf to an area where you're able to live. So for example, I'm a blue soldier hitting this medic, and this medic surfs to catwalk. That's perfectly fine. You're avoiding those soldiers. You're in a safer location. And then once your scouts deal with that person, you can recommit back in.
Okay.
The worst thing that can happen is you are just blindly backing up into a corner. This is the worst thing that can happen because that's how you die the majority of the time. And also, trying to run around the shed here, close walls, is also pretty bad in my opinion, because then like a scout who's over here or a demo man can just like throw shots your way and then you're kind of fucked. So the best routes are either just dip into saw, grab the health pack, surf away into a safer location, or dip into lower, grab the health pack. And then you just have to hope as medic that your team is able to deal with those soldiers pretty quickly.
Oh. It's kind of like surf to whatever you can and pray they die.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like, you're living, right? If your
Right.
team dies after those soldier bombs, then you continue to leave. If those soldiers die immediately, then you come back in.
Right. Any like priority like buffs during the mid fight? Like
Your soldiers are going to be people that you probably not heal. It's going to be your demo man, get him to 260, and then once he's at 260, you can coast on both of your scouts if they're near you, right? Like, keep him at
Right.
185. If your demo man's below full overheal, then you can top him back up. Otherwise, it's going to be mostly stick with your scouts and arrow soldiers who are, like, in corners asking for an arrow.
Right. So I don't get to buff my soldiers much.
Not unless they, like,
Unless
are
like
right next
they're
to
like
you.
next to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they shouldn't be. They should be setting up for a double bomb.
Okay. Yeah, I think
I
that's
usually tell my
that's-
team that you're going to dip if it goes south. Yeah, exactly. Alright, any other questions about this mid-fight?
I think that's it for me.
Alright.
I got a
Tan is
question.
typing. Yeah, go on.
So if you're a scout on mid, how do you position yourself to try and get something more than just chip shotting?
You're not. In my opinion, you're not. You're gonna be just playing your distance across point and trying to intercept the enemy soldier bombs. That's your entire purpose as scout during the mid-fight. If at any point you're walking forward and their soldiers are still alive, then you're not doing your job correctly. Sure, you might be killing their combo, but those soldiers just got onto your medic and killed your medic because you were not there. If you're the pocket scout. Flank scout has more liberty to move around. Once your team goes in for the double bomb, your flank scout can contest high ground and shoot down onto the enemy team. If your flank scout sees an opening, then he can just drop down, swoop down onto people, and shoot people in the back. But pocket scout should definitely, in my opinion, always be near the medic to intercept the enemy soldier bombs.
Yeah.
The soldiers are most likely taking the most focus fire on Snakewater mid. Yeah, after the double bombs they are, yes. Should demo be taking most damage? No. Technically, he will be, but you want to try to avoid damage if you can, because if, as Demo Man, you are taking a lot of damage, like the enemy demo hits a random pipe onto you, hits many stickies, you're eating a bunch of rockets, then the enemy soldiers might decide to double bomb onto your Demo Man instead of your medic. And that's a good strategy, right? Get the demo out of the way and then kill other people. Since the Demo Man is the person preventing people from walking across the point, if you kill the Demo Man, then no one is stopping the people from walking across the point. So you have to try to not take too much damage as Demo.
What's like the like quote unquote pick for us to like say, okay, we can like walk forward and like in like the mid fight.
So there's a bunch of things that can happen, right? Your soldiers, so let's assume that your soldiers got something, right? Because if your soldiers got nothing, then you just leave. So let's assume that
Mhm.
your soldiers got at least one kill. If that one kill was the enemy Demo Man, then you should still be playing cautious because they still have 2 soldiers alive and they have 5 people alive versus your 4 people alive. So you really need to be playing still safe on your side of the point and try to pick someone off as soon as possible to equalize the numbers advantage. If instead it was only like 1 scout or 1 soldier kill, then that's just going to be a leave. It's not worth fighting in that situation. If you got the demo, then maybe still fight, but still safe. If your soldiers got the enemy medic, then again, it really depends on how the enemy team reacts. Usually, if the enemy medic, let's say the blue medic in this case, dies, then the enemy team, the blue team, is going to all in for your medic. And that is something you need to realize pretty early on. Enemy medic dies, they're going to all sell out for your medic. And so you really, in that case, need to be playing safe, keep your medic alive, and leave if you need to. Because a guerrilla fight like that, like 5 versus 4, is not favorable for you to keep your medic alive. You might win it, sure, but at what cost, right? And then if your soldiers trade equally, they get 2 kills on something. Again, it depends on what 2 kills. Like if it's the enemy 2 soldiers, then sure you might fight. If it's an enemy soldier and scout, then maybe play a bit more cautious. And if it's a combination of Demo Man and something, then definitely continue fighting that.
So like if we get a demo and at least like another thing, we can probably fight it.
Yes.
Okay. But if we don't get the demo, and like they get like 2 other like things, uh,
Then
don't
you should still.
we
It's an even
still hold our point.
Yeah, you still hold your side of the map, and you're trying to focus fire people down. Try to get people who are overextended, right?
Right.
An enemy scout up here that's alone and everyone else on his team is over there by Saw. You guys should definitely try to focus this person down and get the numbers advantage. Otherwise, it's just kind of a stalemate, and you're just playing a battle of attrition to see who chickens out first.
Hmm.
Yes, okay. After the first 2 charge sticks to their saw, is it more important to put sticks on point or roof? It's going to be important that you continue dealing damage to someone. If you put them onto the point, then you're not dealing damage to anyone. If you put them onto the shed, for example, or on top of the point somewhere, you might hit someone, but that damage could be better done somewhere else, like onto the enemy medic or the enemy demo man. Enemy scout's fine, don't get me wrong, but he can just be healed up pretty quickly. Alright. Any other questions for the mid-fight?
No.
Okay. Then I will start by talking about defending and pushing, starting on our last. There's 2 situations on every hold. Even or disadd. And then if we have add, then that turns into a push. So on even everything, like even Ubers, even numbers, whatever, the general hold for Snakewater last is going to be Demoman, top right, just you are securing this doorway. You would have a scout nearby wherever he wants to be, like on boxes, on the tower, behind the wall, whatever. Your scout's just nearby if you still have a scout. In my opinion, it's better if your scout's off-class, because off-classing just is better when defending last. And then your medic is nearby on the top right. You can have a soldier lower and a soldier on drop down. This soldier lower is interchangeable sometimes with the demoman on the top right. For example, if your demoman has a trap lower, just like on this doorway and the enemy team's not expecting it, this is a good one-off kind of thing. Your demoman's just watching a trap here, he gets someone, and then he rotates back to the top right. But definitely you should always have at least one person watching lower here. This is going to be one of the most common ways the enemy team gets into lobby, so just getting this early spot is very useful. You should not be holding this door close. This is how you die. You don't want to die when defending last, especially as soldier. That's why you see I placed him all the way back here. You just peek the doorway, shoot it if you want to, and then you can rotate over to get healed. The soldier watching drop down is going to be very isolated from his team, so you won't be within heal beam range, but you can just back off if you need to, get arrow, or even jump back to spawn if you need to get ammo. Otherwise, all you're doing is just watching lobby here. You can shoot down onto the enemy team, just like remove crit heals, try to remove buffs, and then just play safe on the left. Sniper is good on the right side, assuming everything's even. You can peek pretty deep into lobby. You can, let me get on sniper actually. So you have this sight line just onto like the train. Got a little bit of the shed over there. And then you can see deep onto bats. And if you're feeling ballsy, you can walk up even more and just snipe onto second. So sniper's pretty strong on the top right. You have to be careful of the enemy sniper because he's able to crouch on the logs here, or even just do this, and the only thing you can see is his head, if that, and then he just shoots you. So yeah, you have to be careful of an enemy sniper using the logs. Okay. Heavy is probably always going to be on top of the point or to the side of the point. In my opinion, it's better if he's on top because then he can just drop down if he needs to. And then, you know, he's the furthest away from any doorway. The enemy team has to walk up to him to kill him. By that time, your medic should just come over here and Uber onto him if he needs to. Sentry gun spots, I mentioned on this dirt thing. It could go right here on the side of the point, but it's not the best because it doesn't really see the rest of the last area. It doesn't see anything really, it only covers the point, but it's a little bit more defended, but not really because soldiers can just shoot through that. Right here, this is called the Banny spot, or, you know, just the normal sentry spot, just right here in the front. It guards lower, it's hard to see from drop down, and it's hard to see from top right. People can shoot it from the crate. Oh, I'm stuck. They can shoot it from the crate, but by the time they like peek over, the sentry gun can also see them. People can shoot it from top left, but by the time they like turn this corner, the sentry gun can see them. So wherever you are, the sentry gun will see you, right? So that's why people usually place it here. I like to sometimes place it behind the boxes if we're on major Uber disadd. I've seen it like below this wooden wall and behind the tower. Yes, I think that's about it. So a bunch of sentry spots. If you can, that's going to be the best one in the center. It just really relies on your team holding down their doors. Because if you don't have anyone guarding left, they can just like flood a bunch of people in through the left here and then just immediately spam down the gun. Same thing on the right. Anyways. Pyro is going to be only used in like a case where you're coming back to spawn to switch off to something else, like engineer, like you just built up your gun, now you're in spawn, your gun goes down, you come back up on pyro. That's going to be the only time when you would see a pyro on last.
Yo, Jamillia.
Yeah.
Let me get that HUD. I'm joking.
Alright. If you do have a sentry gun, dispenser could go like where this scout is, and then your medic can be on this wall. Like you still have access to your demo man if you need to. You can more easily heal the soldier who's watching lower. And most soldiers are expecting your medic to be like along this line, so it throws it's like a curveball to them that your medic is behind the wall instead. Again, this really relies on your team holding lower, because soldiers who come in, enemy soldiers who come in through lower, just immediately get onto your medic, right? That's why you have the gun there. Alright, that's holding last when things are even. Let me go into
Yo, do you
Disab.
need to like feed your cat or something?
No. They're just very loud meowers. So on disad, when like numbers disad, uber disad, whatever, it's gonna be major disad. You would plant a soldier on tower, in my opinion. That's just for vision on the right side. You can sometimes deter people, not deny. It's hard to deny. You deter people from coming in on the top right, and then you can easily shoot down on other people on other sides of the point. Alright. Your combo is, for the most part, going to come out on the left side. So, like, medic around here, demo man. Oh, that's the wrong color. Wrong class, I mean. Demo man. You would not have a scout on major uber disad. And then your soldiers are going to be like tower, drop down, those kinds of places. And all you're doing is vision stuff. If you're being contested, then you leave those areas. Soldier is very powerful when defending last. If you die early, then your chances of defending last plummet. So you really want to live. Alright. If you do have a sniper, the best spot is probably going to be on the right side. You have this long sight line into top right. You can see a little bit of lower if you come a little to the left. But the reason why you're playing this far back is because you don't want to die. If you die, you just lost someone that can defend last, right? The sniper on disad is used to make the enemy team use early. You are here to make the enemy team fear and make them use around corners rather than try to milk their uber. So once they use, you go back into spawn, switch off to something else. Alright. The soldier up there, like I mentioned, all you're doing is trying to deter people from coming in. If they start looking at you and they start shooting you, jump away. This is not your permanent spot. An enemy soldier is counter-jumping you, jump away. Unless like you're feeling confident and you air shot him. Otherwise, go back to your team. It's a lot better if you live and play with your team, get healed up, maybe catch someone out on the left side, depending on where their combo is, right? A pretty interesting trap spot that my friend told me about is right here on the shutter, just like on the left side. Right there. The reason this is pretty interesting is because usually the enemy team wants to take their uber directly into your team. So usually if they know they have significant uber advantage, they're going to uber in through shutter because that's directly onto your combo. So let me add con 5, is it? Yeah.
Can 5 for Uber? Yes.
So like they uber on their demo man, he comes in, and then you just blast him away. And that will really fuck over their uber, the initial uber, because the demo man's on the other side of the map. Maybe like this soldier and someone over here can kill him. Alright. Otherwise, you know, common trap spots, just on doorways, like lower. You could place an initial... I messed up the jump. You can place an initial trap on top right. All you're doing with your traps is maybe you kill the medic, but for the most part, again, it's to make the enemy team fear and use their Uber early. If you don't want to place those traps forward, then the best thing you can do is just on the point. Traps on the point are going to be the best thing you can do as Demo Man to stop them from capping. Okay. And if you play newbie mixes, then you know they like to say kite Ubers or whatever. And what that means is wherever the enemy team comes in, like if they come in through Shutter, your combo wants to attempt to rotate to the right away from the Uber. If they come in through the right, then you know you're fine on the left. You're already away from the enemy team's Uber. Excuse me while I get a sip of water. Bucket trap, is it good? I mentioned that this is probably the most iconic trap. So it can catch people off guard if they don't know about it, but everyone should know about it. And so no one should be caught off guard by this, and all you have to do to counter it is just have like a soldier splash right there. Just have a soldier splash that area, the trap is now rendered useless. Okay, so that's holding last when things are even and holding last on Uber disad / numbers disad. Are there any questions about that?
I don't think so. No.
Hi, Jamillia. Hi. Okay. Counter sacking is a little hard if your team ever decides to go for counter sacks. I'm on the wrong loadout. Lower is pretty common. You're gonna see a soldier jump through lower here and just like try to get onto the enemy medic. I messed it up. Just get onto the enemy medic wherever he is. Usually the medic's like anticipating that and playing more back, and so they're gonna know you're coming through lower. That's why I say it's hard. Another way you can go is just like in front of them, right? Just do some sort of pogo or skip jump through lobby, then you get onto like Demo Man or someone. There's gonna be traps probably around every corner, or you should at least expect traps around every corner. And so just someone somehow getting in, right? Just get in, try to do something. That's the best advice I can give. It's going to be extremely hard because the enemy team should be competent and be watching every doorway. And then, why am I still on this? What? Hello? Alright. That's sacking. Counter-sacking, I mean. Pushing out. So, your team needs to make sure that they clear areas. Usually, Roamer will go through lower, and Flank Scout will go through the top left. Those two are interchangeable, though, as long as you have someone going through those areas. The person going through lower, you have the special obligation of turning around and checking tires. That's it. This is a very common hiding spot. Clear that spot. As you walk through lower, you have another obligation of looking up. Just below bridge is another common hiding spot. You can crouch underneath bridge, and now you're in position. Also, you can crouch underneath this staircase, but it's not as important because as you're walking out, you should be able to see that. The person coming from the top left, as you push out, you have the special obligation of looking at the left side. On top of these barrels is a common hiding spot. And also, you have the obligation of, again, looking left in this hallway. this, what is this? Walled off hallway, drop down. Another common hiding spot. So those are the 4 major spots your flank has to clear when pushing out. If you can't do that, communicate to your team that you cannot do that. Otherwise, your combo's just going to assume that you're clearing those areas and just go through their areas. So normally, what your combo does, which includes the Demoman, Pocket Scout, Medic, and Pocket Soldier, they will come in through top right lobby and go in through one of these 2 doorways, either bridge or bats. The scout should like peek through, look up to see if there's any stickies, depend on whatever doorway you want to go through. And if there are, just clear the stickies. If there aren't, you can just tell your combo, hey, trap's clear, walk through. Your pocket soldier will go through the right side. Make sure that you look up at this wall. This is a common trap spot. The demo man will place a trap right here, and then you just like round the corner, and then you die. So like take it wide, clear any traps, go in through cheese. This is another hiding spot that your pocket soldier has to clear. Afterwards, he can link back up with his combo wherever they are. So that's pushing out of last. Oh, also right here on these boxes, another hiding spot. But this is more of like a sack spot that the enemy roamer will use to get onto your medic. So if you're pushing through bats, make sure that, like, you look left, see if anyone's there. Alright. So pushing out on to second. Yeah, this is under the assumption that you have some sort of advantage, like Uber advantage, numbers advantage, whatever. And your team has cleared all of the areas that they are supposed to, so you know no one is hiding, there is no threat of a back cap. Your team can safely walk forward onto second altogether. If at any point in time you're not comfortable with, like, your team is not comfortable and they think someone's hiding somewhere, just leave your roamer on last. Everyone else should walk forward. Scouts are going to be capping the point. Demoman and other soldier, usually the pocket soldier, is going to be taking some sort of high ground position. Well, not to Demoman, but you get the idea. They're taking some sort of forward position to lock out the areas, make sure the enemy team cannot come back in. Scouts and Medic. Medic might be playing a little bit more back because there's always the fear, the threat that the enemy soldiers just bomb in and get onto your Medic. So your Medic wants to be playing a little bit more back, a little bit more scared, be watching all of the airspace, make sure that nothing can get onto him. Alright, so that's pushing out. That's like clearing all of the areas and just ideally pushing out with no resistance. That's not going to happen every time. It's going to be very situational what happens. Are there any questions about pushing out of last onto your own second? Why can't I get that? It's so easy, but I can't get it. There we go. You will probably never see a soldier do this. This is, what is this? Wall bugging, I think is what it's called. You just rocket jump up. You can wall bug on certain areas of Snakewater. And again, you'll probably never see this in Newcomer, but it's good to know about as you're pushing out. Just look up. Alright. So let's talk about defending second when everything is even. Where you would position yourself is pocket soldier is majority of the time gonna be in cheese. You're just watching Saw with your demo man who's gonna be like right there. And you're making sure that no one can get onto your demo man. Everyone else is, like, for the most part, gonna be playing on the wall. Medic is gonna be playing like in between the flank and the demo man. It's okay in this case, where the medic walks in between people. your demo man should not be in a position where he dies easily. If at any point in time your demo man is like all the way this forward and saw, that's his fault. He should not have been this far forward. He should be playing a bit more safe where his pocket soldier can protect him. And that means since he's playing safe, he's not really taking that much damage. And so your medic has more liberty to walk back and forth on the point to heal people. You got to be careful as medic. There is not a lot of walk room here. Like standing on barrels, you're going to get splashed from logs. Standing on logs, you're going to get splashed from lower. Standing behind logs, you have zero vision, and there's also very little leg space here before you drop down into lower. Bridge, same idea. Like there's not a lot of leg room, and there's a wall behind you. So if you get like jumped and you surf into this wall, you're gonna most likely be fucked. So you really got to be careful as medic, be watching the airspace, listen to comms if there's anyone like bombing in. Rule of thumb for demo man is wherever the enemy demo man is, that's where you are. Usually you position yourself in saw because the enemy demo man is near saw. If the enemy demo man is lower, then you're going to position yourself near lower to contest him. And then you just leave your pocket soldier to watch this area. And if the enemy team is full committing to yard, then your combo wants to rotate to the left to meet them in this like choke area. Your pocket soldier again is just going to be watching saw on the right side alone, while the rest of his team is contesting the enemy team on the left in yard. You guys are going to be playing on point, they're going to be on the low ground in yard, and you just focus fire people down who are overextending. Like, an enemy soldier jumps forward, immediately kill that person. Alright, so that's defending when everything's even. Let me talk about counter-sacking really quickly. Roamer can come in through window here, and you have two options. You can go catwalk, which someone should be watching it, right? Like, an enemy soldier's watching catwalk, so that's kind of hard to get through. But if you can, this is a great place to go. You have a bunch of high walls that you can jump off of. You got the right side of saw, which is where the enemy demo man is. Like, you can just jump through if you're good enough. Otherwise, just get onto the enemy demo man. Like, killing the enemy demo man is a good trade. It could initiate a push on your team if you get him. And coming in through lower is a little bit tricky because there's this huge sight line you have to cross, and the enemy team will most likely see you, right? But if you can get in through if you can get in through kitchen, then this is a really good position to bomb through. Those are the ways that you're going to counter-sack most likely. Alright. Playing passive. Your medic is essentially going to be in lobby, building with a scout if you don't have Uber yet. You might have like pocket soldier on this wall, demo man on the bridge, maybe a little bit more forward watching a trap in saw. Your roamer could be like on the pipe. If your pocket soldier is not on the wall, then he could be in cheese again watching saw. And your scout is just playing for vision, right? You could be this far forward watching to make sure the enemy team doesn't come through lower, but if they do, then you say, hey, they're pushing lower, and then you back up to your team. You're not going to be doing much else as flank scout. And this is generally how you position on Uber Disad. The soldier who's on pipe is getting in position to bomb the enemy medic as he walks in. So if they're walking in yard, your team would say, yeah, the medic's in now, go in now. Your soldier jumps up and tries to get onto the medic. That roamer soldier should be the only person who dies. Anyone else who dies is throwing and feeding. Okay. Any questions about that? Defending second.
Nope, no questions.
Okay. then we will talk about some pushes into mid. There are 4 doorways into mid, so there are 4 pushes into mid. But realistically, 3 of them are the same and 1 of them is different. The one that's different is the one through kitchen. Oh, there's new messages? No, there aren't. Okay. If the reason why you would push through kitchen is because it is the closest doorway to the enemy team. And if you're able to get in unseen all the way up here, that is really good. Any times on hiding bodies? What does that mean? Any tips on hiding bodies? For which point? Or do you mean as we're pushing in, any tips on like finding hidden people? If you got push back, good spots to hide for med pick. Again, for which point? Can you go over all of them? Sure. Right here, good hiding spot if you are planning a back cap onto the enemy team's last. The tires, another good one. Around this wall is common. On the pipe, up here is a common soldier hiding spot if you're planning to sack on the enemy team as they're coming out. So like, they're pushing out on bridge, you can just jump up, shoot down onto them. If you're good at wall bugs, there's one right here. There's also another one on bats, which I'm bad at. It's right here, but I'm bad at it. There. Also, if you're not good at wall bugs, then just on the crates is a good hiding spot if you're planning to get onto the enemy medic. Under bridge, you just crouch, you're in position. Cheese is an okay hiding spot if no one clears it, because you are either in position to go back to last or you're in position to just get behind the enemy medic. I see a lot of people trying to hide near catwalk, just like right here, and then teams will like go through the right side being that other doorway. They go through right as they push in through saw and no one comes through catwalk, and now you're just behind the enemy team. And right here, I've seen someone, but this should be pretty... So this is used when your team is on second, the enemy team is on mid, and they're trying to push into your second. People just walk in through lower, they don't look behind them, and then now you're behind them. I think this staircase in this corner is pretty common because mostly people just like be at the entrance to kitchen and be like, oh yeah, this is clear. Meanwhile, you're just in the corner. So let's say that the enemy team is like pushing into middle and our team is playing back. Then on the right roof is a common spot to bomb the enemy medic from because you're hidden. You can just jump up and land on him. And this rock right here is another hiding spot people do sometimes. I don't recommend hiding spots usually because then you are not contributing to your team and you're not like actively shooting the enemy medic, you're not actively trying to prevent people from walking in. All you're doing is making your team go into a 5 versus 6 situation with a low percentage play. Cat, you're not allowed on my keyboard. Alright. So I was talking about pushing into middle. 4 doorways. The aggressive one is through kitchen. This is the closest one to the enemy team. And this is usually going to be the doorway where you say, use Uber now. Other doorways are going to be like, we're going to try to just milk Uber, try to bully our way in. This is the aggressive one where we just immediately use Uber. And your Demoman and Scout should just be like jumping forward, trying to get onto the enemy medic. The reason why you would use that doorway is just make your Uber ad even bigger, right? Like you use in, you kill their medic, now you have Uber ad again. If you are unable to get the enemy medic, then just go for kills, right? Kill anyone who's caught in, shoot people on high ground who aren't leaving, convert your Uber advantage into numbers advantage, and then you can maybe push into their second. While the push is going on, your team should be going in through the other doorways. So someone, usually it's the pocket soldier, should be coming in through saw, making sure there's no one hiding here. And then just try to get in like maybe 4 seconds later after the Uber's going on and get on high ground, shoot down onto people. If you see a good opportunity to, as soldier in general, then you can jump even more forward and try to catch people out. Otherwise, soldiers are just going to be on high ground, shooting down onto people, securing your hold of middle. Like another soldier could like come over through here and do the rollout into kitchen or whatever, just get across point, shoot down onto people. Soldier could be, usually the roamer might come in through lower, because he's like clearing the lower area here. Then he just jumps up to the top left of point, shoot down onto people. Flank scout, just get in through whatever doorway you can. Sometimes it's good to trail your combo, sometimes it's not. You just walk in through lower, shoot people who are caught in. By the way, another hiding spot is those barrels. So a soldier just stands here as your team walks forward, he gets onto your medic. So scout, walk in, and cap the point. That's all you do is flank scout. Alright. The other doorways are going to play out pretty similar to each other. You're just taking it slow, clearing stickies, so clear any stickies on this doorway, tell your team to get through, and then you're trying to bully the enemy team out, like get your soldiers aggressive, shoot people on high ground together, bully the enemy team out, now you secure middle. Maybe you still have Uber advantage to continue on to second, otherwise you're just planning a stalemate on middle, right? Catwalk kind of similar, your combo goes through here, clear stickies, get your soldiers on high ground, shoot down on people, bully people out. Same thing with lower, except this is low ground. You'd only really push through lower if, like, you know they're playing uber passive, super passive, so you're able to take space. You have a lot of vision. This is probably the most vision you're going to get out of any doorway before you get onto middle. So you come in, make sure there's no stickies, make sure there's no one on high ground, your soldier jumps up. Then same thing, take it slow, bully people out, focus fire people down, secure middle. Alright. How you choose which doorway to go through is just whichever one your combo's closest to be honest. If your combo's already in lower, go through lower. It's gonna waste a lot of time if you tell your combo to rotate over to saw, right? If your combo's already near saw, go through saw. So that's the major reasoning behind which doorway to go through. Alright, trap spots, you got another bucket, that's a trap. There could be a trap on this crate. And like I mentioned, every doorway. You should always expect a trap on doorways. Your pocket members should clear these traps so that your medic does not drop. You can actually hide stickies inside of these things. I don't know what they're called. So you'll probably never see it, but still good to know. Oh, I forgot about the traps on the rock. Let me get on demo. When you're on second, defending it, as demo mode, the defending side, I think it's this rock. Yes. You can place stickies inside of that rock, and it's really hard for the enemy team to see it. So, now that you know, you should never be fooled. Take it wide. Avoid those rocks. Soldier could be hiding there as you're pushing in. Soldier could be hiding on the awning as you're pushing in. And there is another wall bug, I think, like right here. So look up as you're pushing into the enemy second, which I'll get into right now, actually. We're going over pushing into second. Are there any questions about pushing into middle? So yeah, so what we just did is pushing into middle. Are there any questions about that? Okay. Then we will talk about defending middle. The very standard hold when everything's even is Demo Man is Saw, Pocket Soldier's going to be behind him. Pocket Scout, never look at the doorway unless your team is planning a push, right? You as Pocket Scout don't want to be in these choke doorways because the more damage you take as Scout means that the medic has to heal you more, right? You do not want your medic to heal you, for the most part, during holds. You want your medic to focus on people that are actually holding the doorway more effectively than you and actually taking damage. You can avoid that damage by not peeking. That way your medic can spend more time healing these two people. Roamer and Flank Scout are going to be on the right side like this. Interchangeable, it doesn't matter which one is where. Flank Soldier, right here on the middle of this shed, if you shoot a rocket right there, it splashes the entire roof. So if someone's standing there, just shoot the center, it hits them. That's why the wall is better. People standing on the wall are very annoying to deal with, because it's hard to get them off of the wall. Alright, yeah, so this is the very general hold when everything is even. In this case, your medic is never going to rotate lower to heal your flank, unless your combo goes over there. Your medic will always be sticking next to these people. If your flank needs heal, like they have crit heals or something, your flank comes to your medic. Alright. Sacking. Let's get on Soldier. Sacking. There's a few different doors you can go through. There's this one, there's window, and then there's through lower. The lower and window sack are kind of the same, except window is not as effective, I guess. Window is less, what's the word for it? Less telegraphed. They don't see you, and then you're in. Versus lower, they see you, they know you're about to do it, but you get so much speed and distance from it. So you don't mess up the jump. I hate this jump because I mess it up every time. You're trying to hit a rocket behind you that propels you forward. And I suck at this jump, which is why I almost never do it. Alright. Let me try to do it for the video, though. Nope. I'm not going to be able to do it. Whatever. You get the idea. So you're jumping on window, and you get a little bit of distance, and then you're landing wherever their medic is. And then you try to force them, right? Going through lower is more telegraphed because you're in the open now, they can see you doing it, but you can do a double rocket jump off of the wall, and you get a lot of speed and distance if you're able to do it correctly. And you can land anywhere. You can even land all the way back on bats. But I suck at rocket jumping. The problem with jumping through lower as roamer is that there's going to be people on this wall. Like 2 scouts right there. They see you jumping in, you jump up, and then you immediately get double meat shot and you die. So if you plan to push through lower, you really need to get those scouts off of the wall, which is when your combo rotates over. In this case, it would only be your Demo Man medic. The other 2 people are staying over there. So you bring your Demo Man over here. He shoots like stickies on the wall to get people off of the wall, and then you go in for the sack. I'm gonna take another sip of water real quick. Alright. And then the final sack through Saw, this is where you just get onto the enemy demo man. If the enemy demo man is close, maybe your demo did some damage to him earlier, you just jump through the doorway, get on top of him, and if you can kill him, that is a great trade. In either case, like, it doesn't matter where you're going from, your team should always try to support your sack. So if your demo man's in Saw, he should be like shooting across at their demo man, and maybe he says, yeah, the demos hit a lot. And then as soldier, you jump forward onto the enemy demo man and kill him. If your demo man's in lower, like he's over here, he's like distracting the enemy team, the demo man came over to contest him, then you can maybe get in through Saw with less resistance. Like you come over here, then you have this high wall to jump off of and get onto the enemy medic. So a bunch of things you can do. Use your team, your combo as support / a distraction for you, and then go in for your sack. You should never just go in alone. You always want to get your team to support you. Alright, so that's holding normal and sacking in. So holding passive. This is when you're expecting the enemy team to push in. You have a bunch of different soldier configurations. Soldiers, both of them on high ground, or you could have one on high ground, one hiding in a corner. Scout on the shed, building with medic. Other scout, is a little bit more forward, maybe peeking into Saw. Excuse me again. Peeking into Saw. Then your demo man, placing a trap somewhere, backing up to your combo. So this is generally how you might position yourself. Let me try to get everyone in frame. How you might position yourself on significant Uber disad. If you have a soldier hiding, that is the one that's going to go in for the sack. That's usually the roamer. But if you have both people on high ground, then what you're planning to do, your plan is, wherever the enemy team comes in from, assuming it's not kitchen, you're planning to spend like 6 rockets, 3 from you, 3 from him, shooting those people. And that should be enough damage to either slow them down, force them, or kill a person, assuming that you hit all of those rockets. I don't say 8 rockets because you always want to save 1 rocket to jump away if you need to. So if you're able to reload one, sure, you can shoot that one. Otherwise, you always want to keep 1 in your clip so you can jump away. That's about it. The only person who should die, assuming they did not force, is your roamer or pocket soldier, either one. Whichever one wants to jump in and try to get onto the medic. Everyone else should live, back up, defend second. Alright. Any questions about defending middle, or sacking onto their second? Alright, then we're going to talk about pushing into their second. There's only 2 doorways this time. There's Saw. I don't count Window. Window is just an extension of lower, and it's the worst doorway to push through. So there's either Saw, or you push through lower. These 2 doorways are the same to me. For the most part, you're always going to take it wide. You should never have to go through the closer door. How you choose which one to go through. If you have significant Uber advantage, then you may consider / numbers advantage, Uber advantage or numbers advantage. You might want to consider pushing through Saw because it's the closest doorway to the enemy team, and you might be able to catch them out if you're fast enough, right? So like your demo man jumps all the way to bridge, cuts off their exit, now the enemy combo is caught in. this will most likely be a use immediately door, but if you're able to milk, then you should milk as long as possible until your main color says, yes, use now, use now. There might be a soldier hiding on this pipe. Like I mentioned, when we're defending our second, there's like the roamer on this pipe shooting down onto you. So if you need to use, just use it. That's the whole point of this doorway. This is the aggressive doorway. Your demo man jumps forward, you follow up on a scout, try to kill off people who are caught in. Ideally, you'd kill the medic as well, but if you can't, then you can't. During this push, your pocket soldier may decide to trail behind your combo and contest people on high ground, or contest someone in cheese. Afterwards, once you've gotten those people to either run away or you've killed them, then you may decide to remain on the pipe, which is the highest ground on second, and just shoot down onto people. If there's someone caught out and your teammate needs help, then you can just jump forward and get onto that person. Your flank is going to play around lower for a little bit, because if you go in immediately or you go in too fast, then the enemy team will just focus fire you down first, and then you died for nothing, right? So you wait in lower for a little bit, see what's happening, your combo Ubers in, and then you guys can walk forward together. Shoot people who are caught out. Oh, I forgot about this counter sack. So going back a little bit, when we're defending our second, your roamer's going in for a counter sack. You can start all the way back here on this health pack, pogo on the shed, get in through window. Let's see if I can hit it. I almost did it, I hit the wall. And this is like a fast bomb to get onto the enemy demo man. You really need to go horizontal. Kind of like the process rollout. I'm not hitting it. Yeah, I'm not hitting it, but you got the idea. You can go horizontal on this shed. You get into window here, and then you immediately get fast onto the demo man. Alright. Back to pushing second. So that's the saw push. The lower push is more of the we're gonna take it slow, kind of react to what they're doing and just bully them out. So your combo is taking things wide. Pocket soldier, here you definitely have things you need to do. There are a few checkpoints that you need to get to. So as your team is pushing through lower, your combo I mean, as pocket soldier, the first checkpoint is taking this shed. This is the middle ground between yard and bats. It is the highest ground besides the wall that your team has when fighting the enemy team. You can like shoot down onto bats if you need to. And what you're doing here is saying, I own this area, I'm letting my combo walk forward. However, you will definitely be the furthest one forward, and so the enemy team will definitely be shooting you. So this is not a permanent spot to be. All you're doing is marking this as your territory, saying, I am here now, fear me, and back up once you're weak. Get an arrow, and then you can go back fighting. The second checkpoint is, once your combo has caught up to you, is going to be fighting bats. As pocket soldier, you can jump up onto this wall, shoot down onto them, bully them out, keep them out. Those are the two checkpoints that you have to go through as pocket soldier when your combo is pushing in through lower. It will not always work out like that. That is the most ideal situation that will happen. What's most likely going to happen is you're jumping forward, your demoman says they're completely nuked, and then as soldier you jump forward, try to clean up kills, and then you die while killing someone. That is the most likely scenario. But otherwise, shed, and then bats. Those are your two checkpoints. Alright, your flank is going to be playing in saw in this case, because combo's pushing through lower, your flank wants to be on the other side of the map. So your roamer and flank scout are in saw. It's going to be a little tricky getting through saw because the enemy soldier, who's like right here, he's shooting down onto you and it's hard to get through. rockets, right? It has scout. You just got to get your soldier to get through, maybe bully him out, maybe get your roamer on this pipe, shoot down onto him. Just got to get through, right? The best way you can. And then if you see someone caught out, help your combo. If someone's like fighting your combo, oh, I messed up the jump. As roamer, you can just high jump over to them. Alright. And that's pushing the enemy team second. Are there any questions about that? Okay, no questions. Then let's talk about holding the enemy second and planning a push into last. So general positions are going to be assuming you are not in lobby yet. If you are not in lobby and everyone is alive, you'd have your demo man kind of on bridge, spamming across at their demo man. Your medic could be either like behind your combo, your scouts nearby, or along this wall because you can stand on that beam. That is a good spot to avoid sniper sightlines. It is not a good spot in general because you are not able to get in position as fast or as efficiently in that spot as medic. So it's only good to avoid sniper sightlines. Anywhere else is going to be better because then you can just follow your combo wherever they want to go. A soldier, it doesn't matter which one, is on bats shooting across, and the other soldier, which is usually the roamer, is attempting to fight lower, peek in, see what's happening. If that soldier doesn't like being there, then instead he could be in she's, like over there, kind of in more, shooting across at drop down. And then, you know, flank scout's just around wherever he wants to be. Snakewater last is not as bad as process last. It's a lot easier to sack, and there's a few different sacks you can do. Once your team is ready to go in for a sack, then you want to come into lobby here. Demo man is obviously fighting the enemy demo man. Rule of thumb, wherever their demo is, that's where you are. Pocket soldier is going to be nearby just to support him if he needs it. Medic kind of in the middle of lobby with the pocket scout. And then roamer and flank scout are on the right side. If you aren't doing anything yet, then as roamer, you're just fighting drop down. Just bully that roamer away if you can. And the most common sack you will see is soldier comes in through lower, jumps up, does a left wall bomb, left wall jump onto your medic. That is the single most common sack you will see from the enemy roamer. From your roamer, I should say. If you're defending last, then from the enemy roamer. Another sack is, if you're able to bully that soldier away, then you can take this area, peek in, shoot the gun if there is one, and then, you know, like you're causing distraction. Then you can jump across point. This drop-down push, this drop-down sack is going to be part of a double sack, which I'll get into in a little bit. And then you like just jump across point best you can and get onto the enemy medic. Enemy medic. Kind of stumbling my words. Alright, and then the third one, which is the hardest, is going to be a... I really don't know the technical terms. I like to call it a skip jump through this doorway. I suck at it, but if you can do it, you get a shit ton of speed, and then you can get onto the enemy medic immediately. Alright. So double sacking. Double sacking is pretty powerful on Snakewater. Oh, someone's typing. I'll just talk about double sacking right now. Usually your soldier and flank scout go in through different doorways. That way the enemy team is splitting attention on all of you. Wasn't there that one clip where someone jumped that way and air shot Banny? I don't know. All I know is that this is a common jump for higher level players to do. And then you just immediately get onto the medic. That's why I'm saying, like, soldiers jump here, go far, and then they're like, hey, where's the medic? And then the medic's just around this wall. So you buff up your roamer, you buff up your flank scout, they go in through different doorways. A doorway you can go through is through drop down. You're pulling attention to your roamer, he jumps around, and then your flank scout maybe like comes in through lower, and you're getting onto a common target. You can do the same jump here on lower. Excuse me. Roamer just jumps in, draws eyes, and then your flank scout comes in from somewhere like Shutter or trails him in lower. And everyone's distracted on the roamer, doesn't see the flank scout, and the flank scout kills the medic. So double sacking is very common. You should expect it, honestly. Back like 5 seasons ago, maybe, my mentor said double sacking is a higher level technique. You guys will probably never do it a newcomer. In my opinion, you should definitely get used to it early on. That way you can do it more successfully in the future. Alright, so after a double sack, you are expecting your sack to fail, honestly. Never expect your sacks to work. All you're doing on sacking is, of course, you're trying to force the medic, but you are trying to bait the enemy team into a push with the double sack. And it's advantageous for your team if you guys solo and Uber on your pocket soldier in this doorway in lobby. The reason is because the enemy team will most likely be pushing on the top left lobby here. So you take a solo exchange. Even though you pop first, your soldier should put enough pressure on the enemy team so that they also have to use. And since it's a small doorway, small enclosed space, just like on Gole Wash, which we'll talk about in the future, they should use Uber, right? You should be able to hit the majority of your shots. They should use Uber, and they're flashing between a lot of people. So even though you use first, their Uber should either end earlier or at the same time as your Uber. And you have just delayed enough time for your 2 spawners to come back and support you. So you've gotten the Ubers out of the way and potentially even killed someone in lobby here. And that just puts your team at a bigger advantage. So if you see this kind of situation, then you should definitely go for it. The rest of your team, Demoman is going to be trapping, that's the wrong color. Demoman is going to be trapping lower and top right lobby. Don't worry about cheese, your soldier has that covered. So if anyone tries to come through, you kill them. Same thing with Pocket Scout, you're just sticking back so that if anyone gets through the trap, then you immediately like clean them up. Then your respawners come back. Sniper is really good, Spy is really good for spawning, otherwise, you know, just keep doing the same thing until something works. Sniper is good right here in this sight line. If they fear it, then you can push a little bit more forward and peek wide, right? What your sniper is doing, the theory behind sniper on Snakewater aggressively is you're pinning the enemy medic, right? If the enemy medic fears you, he's either behind this wall, which makes him more susceptible to a soldier sack, or he's playing super far back, which forces his team to play back as well. It's not really about your sniper getting kills, it's more about the enemy team fears your sniper, and so you are forcing them into a worse position, is what I should say. Alright, and then, you know, Spy is Spy, you just cause a distraction and then he kills the enemy medic. Alright. That's holding forward. Let's talk about holding passive. You got a scout on the shed on the back, building with your medic, ready to leave through lower. Your demo man has a trap somewhere, like maybe he's standing here watching a trap somewhere. Soldier pipe, good spot. Soldier on the wall, good spot. You can shoot down into lobby. And then flank scout, if you're planning to go for a back cap, then you'd be like in position somewhere. Otherwise, it's going to be a lot better if you just stick back with your team. Not really useful here for vision, because you have all of the doorways already covered. You got lower watched, and then you have lobby watched. Nothing else really to watch, so that's why I say just stick back. Once they come in, if you don't have Uber yet, your combo just leaves, and this soldier who's hiding, or a soldier somewhere, sacks onto the enemy medic and tries to make them use. Alright. Any questions about holding the enemy team's second? Okay, then we will talk about pushing into the enemy teams last. The only reason why you would be pushing into the enemy teams last is because you have some sort of advantage, numbers advantage or Uber's advantage or otherwise. If you have significant advantage, then most likely the enemy team will be positioned on the right side, which I talked about when defending last. So usually top left should be free. If you see people still defending top left, like the enemy demo man or the enemy medic or something, then just Uber, kill them, you win last, right? Otherwise, this is the doorway you would use if you're trying to dry push onto the enemies last. Be fearful of the sniper who's playing far back. He has this giant sightline. So your team, if you are trying to dry push through this door, needs to put pressure onto him. Make him back up, maybe even kill him. There might be a soldier on this tower, so it's going to be on your pocket soldier to get him off of the tower. And then what the rest of your combo wants to do is just walk forward, take as much space as they can, and then Uber across the point onto them. That's the idea behind dry pushing on the left. Take space, push as far as you can. Once you can no longer push that far, or like your medic's weak or something, just use Uber, jump across point onto the enemy team. During the Uber, your flank, scout, and roamer want to hang back. Oh, someone wrote a message, hold on. I've been told that if you are going to use through right shutter, you should Uber your scout first instead of demo because a sniper may be waiting in spawn or traps by shutter. Preference. It's whatever your team prefers to do. The scout can go through first because if he gets hit by this trap right here, he just double jumps back, right? But it's easily avoidable. You just open shutter, shoot the trap away, and then you can walk through. Alright. Yeah, dry pushing, take space, Uber, and flank people, right. During the Uber, you want to wait in lobby for a little bit. Maybe someone comes into lobby, 2v1 him, he dies. After like 4 seconds or something, try to peek doorways, see what's happening, and then get in if you can. It's going to be very situational what happens, and you will not always be able to do the same thing. So a thing that you can do is just peek drop down here from inside of lobby, shoot onto the enemy combo. Another thing you can do is just walk in through shutter, jump forward onto the enemy combo, and swerve away. And then you could come in through lower, see what's happening from a distance. If like someone's fighting your combo, you can high bomb them, right? Very situational what happens, just react accordingly to what you see, but the important thing is that you do not go in immediately. You're waiting a little bit so that your combo's Uber is distracting the enemy team, and then you go in onto people who are distracted. The shutter push. Usually you want to take your Uber directly into the enemy team on significant Uber advantage, right? So usually the enemy team will be playing on the right side, so you just Uber in through Shutter on like your Demoman or your Scout, catch the other one, and then you guys walk into them. It's gonna, like, Uber pushes are the same no matter what. You have a priority list. Get the gun, get the heavy, get the Demoman, and then kill whoever else is close. The important thing during Uber pushes is just focus fire. I see a lot of the times I see a Demoman shooting one person and the Pocket Scout shooting someone else. So you really want to be coordinating with each other, call out focus fires if you need to, shoot the same person. That's how you make your Uber successful. Shooting different people is how you lose the last push. And then same idea, if your combo pushes through the right side, your flank goes in through a different doorway. In this case, your pocket soldier does not trail behind them. Your pocket soldier is on the flank, and he just like goes in with his flank buddies and like jumps people who are caught out. You have this high wall to jump off of, and you can go anywhere. The lower push. This is very situational. I think the lower push is used when you just want to get into last, take ground, and then jump towards whichever side the enemy team is on if you're unsure. So you're just trying to blindly go into last as quickly as possible. Your team may consider to just push in through lower. There could be a gun here, so you just use Uber onto the gun and then immediately jump to the side the combo is on. And last push plays out the exact same in every scenario. Your flank waits in lobby for a little bit, comes in, peeks through a doorway, see what's happening, jumps forward, right? General Uber tip is call which side your Uber is ending on. That way the rest of your team understands where they should position after the Uber ends. So if your team says that they're ending on the left, then maybe your roamer who's over here is like, oh shit, I'm on the wrong side. I'm just gonna like play in lobby for a little bit, see what's happening, and then jump towards my team. Alright. Same with any last push on any 5CP map. Your scouts want to put pressure on the capture point. So this isn't like really any Snakewater specific thing, this is just pushing in general. Your scouts want to put pressure on the last point, and that forces attention towards the point. Your Demoman who is playing back, he should not be walking forward, is placing a trap on the point, potentially. So your scout is baiting people onto it, people who try to block the point, which are usually the soldiers, land on it, and then your Demoman kills them. And that's the same recipe for every 5CP push. Scout, bait the cap, back off if you're not able to, Demoman places trap on it and kills people. Soldiers are on high ground. You just shoot down onto people. Bully them away so that your scouts have an easier time capping the point. And if there's any stickies, you know, just shoot one rocket at them. Scatter the stickies so that your scouts can actually stand on the point. If you see someone isolated or you hear a focus fire call, you have tons of high walls to jump off of. You can jump anywhere onto last and get anywhere at any time. And then if you need health, dip around a corner, ask your medic for an arrow. That's like the same recipe for every last push. Alright, are there any questions about pushing the enemies last? Okay, then that's gonna wrap it up for Snakewater.